In Immerse to Learn, we have the options for Nims practice test, which is for milling operations, for CNC milling operations. And once you have reviewed all the modules from Immerse to Learn, we can start a quiz. And this is something we're going to go through next week, each question at a time and samples to see and to review each question. So we will have questions about the programs, which was pretty much covered to all the labs that we did so far from chem instructor. And then questions about how to use the machine controller, when, how to check the oil, just simple basic questions about safety, and about machine coordinates, which again was covered a lot through all the programs that we did.
Let's just go through and do them, Francis.
Yeah, sure.
So the first line, program lines are separated by what character?
So program lines are separated by and the plot. After each line, there should be and the plot.
The first time running a program, it's always a good idea to run it in single block.
You have to run it safe.
When should the weigh oil and coolant be checked?
Every work shift. Every time the operator starts a new shift, oil needs to be checked.
It's a good idea when running a program for the first time to reduce the rapid rates to a minimum.
So it's part of safety.
If a tool change is required, the program should only be restarted after a safe tool change is completed.
True.
When they say safe tool change, they mean they want the Z-axis to be up. That's what we'll do with our G28, G91, or our G53. When adding soluble oil to a machine, it's necessary to check the concentration level. If the mixture is thin from water evaporating, and water appropriately, add water appropriately.
Right. During the summertime, water will evaporate more, but it's hot. We have to add more water, the concentration level goes up.
You're standing in front of a vertical machining center. What direction does the x-axis travel?
Left to right.
EOB stands for?
End of block. It is on the keypad on the sheet.
Tool radius is half of tool diameter. Diameter divided by 2 equals the radius. Some basic math. If you're standing in front of a vertical machining center, what direction does the Z-axis travel?
The Z-axis goes up and down.
What direction do you turn the jog handle to move the spindle from left to right in relation to the machine table?
Left to right is going to be X plus. We go in the positive direction.
Homing the machine is the process of moving the primary axis to the 0 position.
Right. So all the axes will go to one position, which means the machine at 0 axis position.
What is the most important safety rule?
Follow all safety rules. We have to keep the area clean, safety glasses, and proper loading.
Machine motion is always relative to the movement of the what?
Of the spindle and not the table.
The 4 quadrants of the work coordinate system are established by?
X and Y intercept.
What do MSDS, material safety data sheets, indicate?
These are all the chemicals and materials used in the shop in case of an emergency.
G41 through G59 are used are used for standard work or part offsets. True or false?
That's false. Because G41 equal to offset.
Cutter compensation. And G59 is machine part 0. What is the code G1?
Is a linear interpolation.
What is the code G00?
It's rapid motion.
X, Y, and Z represent primary linear axes.
I would say false because X and Y are the linear, but Z as well. So
Yeah, I think you can outsmart yourself.
yes, it's pretty tricky, this question.
Part 0 must be captured for each particular job setup.
That is correct. In one job, we can have multiple part zeros, depending how many parts we're running. But each job has its own work offset.
What is the code G91?
Incremental positioning.
What's G3? I'm sorry, M3.
M3 is spindle on, clockwise.
A direction of motion is called an axis.
That's true.
What's an M6 code do?
That's a tool change. Every time you want to change a tool, we need to have an M6 in the program.
Only lubricating fluids recommended by the manufacturer should be used.
It's correct because each fluid has its own chemicals, and if we don't use the right chemicals and fluids, we can damage the machine mechanism.
What is the code M30?
It's program end and reset. So this means when it reaches M30, program not only will end, but it's going to reset from the beginning.
During tool confirmation, visually examine the machine magazine to make sure the necessary tools are loaded.
It's correct. We want to make sure that the tool that is in the machine matches that tool description in the program.
What is the correct code for canceling cutter compensation?
G40.
The air in the pressure tank and hose must be kept as dry as possible to prevent lubrication problems.
That is correct.
The blank should be emptied prior to startup.
Chip bin.
What is a boxed dimension?
Box dimension means a basic dimension.
What does plus or minus 0.005 represent?
This is a tolerance value that we can adjust.
Proper feed rates may be determined by referring to a machinist's handbook.
It's true.
What does a boxed letter represent?
That is the data. So A, B, and C, the data.
Revolutions per minute, or RPM, that the cutting tool rotates is what?
RPM is the spindle speed.
How many 3.5-inch long bars can be cut from a bar measuring 18 3/4 inch long?
That's one I gotta take a calculator, but these questions are tricky because if the overline is 18 3/4 and divide by 3.5, the answer is 5.3. We cannot make 6 parts, so the most part we can make is just 5 pieces.
What is the standard formula to calculate RPM?
SFM times 4 and divided by 2 diameter. True.
A closed loop system checks to make sure that the axis difference sent is correct before it makes another move.
This question always I mess it up.
I believe it's true, versus like a stepper motor system doesn't give you the feedback.
Yeah.
If the proper feed speeds and power are not available, the machine process may fail.
That is correct.
And last question, programs may be written with word processors.
Yes, like, WordPad is one example.
Go ahead and submit.
41 questions, 10 minutes. Let's see.
Excellent job.
41 out of 40.
And you can take this test as many times as you need to. The Nims test is not that difficult after you've gone and spent as much time writing the programs and going through the material. We want to make that available to you. To take the Nims test, though, you will need to fill out the certificate of achievement. And Francis, if you go to the main splash page there under D2L.
Well,
right. Then scroll down a little bit under course ending procedure. It says Nims CAR right there. So if you want to take the Nims test and to pass the Nims exam, there's two parts. Part one, you come in and you go through the credentialing achievement report. Essentially, we power up the machine. We make sure that you're able to operate it safely. We jog the machine, and then we send this certificate of achievement report into the Nims people. And then the Nims people will have you register as a Nims person. You'll have to pay a $30 fee to register, and then they'll make the test available. And I believe the test is also $30. So once you have your Nims certification, you'll bring that back to us. We'll sign off on it. We'll send it to Nims, and then we'll schedule you for the Nims exam, which could be available on May 7th if you decide to take it. If not, you'll just take the regular final exam that we prepare for this course. Okay.
I just want to add for the Nims test in Immerse to Learn, if you want to take the quiz again, just please send me an email so I can reset the quiz, because the quiz needs to be reset in order to be taken again.
So go back to the main splash page. So here's the course ending procedures. As you can see, we have 3 more classes left. And so next week, we're going to go through and we'll review more for the Nims exam. Lesson 8 will be the last lesson that we'll cover from CAM instructor. And then on the 30th, we'll have our final exam. And you'll have a week to do that. Also, if you're going to come in, those 2 dates are perfect. If you want to come in on next week on the 23rd or the following week during the final exam, you can then go through and fill out your certification of achievement record. All right. Is there anything else that we need to cover, Francis?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. We'll post them, and then we'll see you online next week.